Today the topic is feeling lucky. What is luck? Does luck even exist? Some people adamantly say there's no such thing as luck, while others swear by it. Religious people think luck is superstitious and try to scrub it from theirs and our vocabulary because it's never used in that word luck is never used in their favorite version of the Bible. So who's right? The word luck is not used in the Bible because the Dutch word for luck didn't even appear until about the 15th century. And then it went unused in the English language until about the 19th century. And to those Dutch, it meant happiness or good fortune. And wouldn't you say that there's a lot of happiness and good fortune in the Bible? Isn't that what the whole thing's about? If happiness and good fortune is luck, then I want to get me some. And Romans 8:28 says, we are confident that God is able to orchestrate everything to work towards something good and beautiful when we love Him and accept His invitation to live according to His plan. God's able to make things happen for us. And that verse sounds a little bit lucky to me. You see, when good stuff keeps happening to you, don't you feel lucky? Yeah, feel blessed. Ephesians 3:20. Now unto Him that's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Now that makes me feel lucky all over. You know, one group hates the word luck, and another group loves that word. What we really have here is a battle of semantics and religious training when it comes down to the word luck. Is luck bad or is luck good? It all depends on what you've been taught. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, you may ponder the wise words of the learned Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi when he smugly said to the renegade hero Han Solo, "In my experience, there is no such thing as luck." Obi apparently doesn't like luck. Now, if you're into personal development, you may like what Brian Tracy, one of the world's great success strategists, aptly stated, quote, "I've found that luck is quite predictable. If you want more luck, take more chances, be more active, show up more often." Now, Brian likes the word luck. The bold of this world proclaim, "We make our own luck." Even Thomas Jefferson pragmatically wrote, "I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it." World War II General Douglas MacArthur barked, "The best luck of all is the luck you make for yourself." Okay, modern psychologists argue that there are real-life reasons why some people are luckier than others. Some even go as far to say that luck is a learned trait. Can luck really be learned? Or are you just born lucky? You know, luck should not be confused with chance, religious ritual, and superstition. And that's what Christians get all flustered about when you use the word luck. Now, I'm not talking about burning incense, ringing a large bell, rubbing Buddha's big old belly, or crossing one's heart in order to summon supernatural power. I'm talking about lifestyle change that we will call luck in order to usher in huge results. We're going to see today that luck is something that you design for yourself. Modern hotels believe it's bad luck to have a 13th floor, so they eliminate it. Athletes strongly believe in lucky colors and wearing the same undershirt while they're winning or whatever. Baseball players, they don their rally caps. And what about the now famous playoff beards that you see? I guess it started in hockey, you know, and now it's in every sport. Even our own Denver Broncos opted out of wearing their usual orange-colored home uniforms to play in the upcoming Super Bowl 50 because they've never won a Super Bowl when they wore orange. They're 0-4 wearing orange. But they did win one when they wore white. So white it is. Now, but logically, maybe dressing a certain way makes them feel like winners. And maybe that attitude has something to do with winning, has something to do with luck. Because everything that happens in your life, it's because you think a certain way or because we have a great God that makes things happen for us. But usually we have to want it, have to expect it. He said, ask and ye shall receive. So as we learn to be aware of opportunities, be aware of our inner voice, be ever positive in our expectations, and be positives about our negatives, we will find out what it means to be lucky. Quote, few people realize that luck is created. Robert Kiyosaki. Mr. Kiyosaki is a financial guy, and he thinks that luck is something we have control over. Here's another quote from a very, very famous and influential businessman / politician. Everything in life is luck. Donald Trump. Now see, so their version of luck must be different than what a lot of us think it is. Some people think, I'm just a lucky person, like I said earlier. But luck is something that you design. It's like a designer outfit. And if you design it well, your life's going to look good. You design this thought process and action process poorly, your life's not going to look as good. One person's considered lucky, another one's considered unlucky. It all starts with these 4 points we're going to get to. So the premise of this study is, how do we go about making our own luck? Can we really make ourselves become lucky? Well, learning to be lucky. Now, it's possible to learn how to turn on that luck, I think. And said another way, I think we can develop the ability to find happiness and good fortune. That's really what we consider luck to be. Somebody keeps having good things happen their way, right? You call them, you might not say it, but you're thinking, man, they're lucky. It's like that one girl I mentioned before. Everywhere she went, she'd win tickets to a professional game over and over. She'd walk into a store, you win a couch. It was like all the time it was happening to this girl. Finally asked her, what's up? You win stuff, you get stuff all the time. She says, I expect it. I expect it. Well, we're going to see how that's that's one of the keys to building your luck. Ecclesiastes 9:11 from the NLT. I have observed something else under the sun. The fastest runner doesn't always win the race, and the strongest warrior doesn't always win the battle. The wise sometimes go hungry, and the skillful are not necessarily wealthy. And those who are educated don't always lead successful lives. It's all decided by chance, by being in the right place at the right time. How do we beat the odds of a lost or mediocre life? Most people live pretty average. And then there's that 1 in a 1,000 who just seems to shine. Everything comes easy. Well, there's a reason. And we're going to see some steps here in just a moment. It takes a boatload of self-discipline to be lucky enough to be at the right place at the right time. It may even take learning how to listen to that still small voice of the Creator in order to be at the right place at the right time. It's not about brains or brawn. It's about a thought process and a believing process. Quote, people often remark that I'm pretty lucky. Luck is only important insofar as getting the chance to sell yourself at the right moment. After that, you've got to have talent and know how to use it. Frank Sinatra. See, luck opens the door, but we have to decide to walk in. Now, Professor Richard Wiseman did a 10-year scientific study into the knowledge of luck, saying that people make their own good and bad fortune. And he said, quote, lucky people generate their own good fortune via 4 basic principles. They are skilled at creating and noticing chance opportunities, making lucky decisions by listening to their intuition, creating self-fulfilling prophecies via positive expectations, and adopting a resilient attitude that transforms bad luck into good. He asked people to tell him if they thought they were lucky or unlucky. And a group of people told him, yes, or no, I'm lucky or I'm unlucky. And his staff followed up on these people for 10 years. And he came up with 4 common traits that were in all these lucky people. And these are things that can be learned. These are things that can be learned. According to Wiseman, these 4 principles are what set us up for great success in our life and in our careers. And these make us appear lucky to other people. And I'm going to reterm his 4 principles into words that we commonly might say. So number 1, be aware of unnoticed opportunities. Number 2, be aware of your inner voice, or the still small voice. 3, be eternally optimistic in your expectations. And 4, be positive about your negatives. So those are the 4 things that constitute a lucky person. And all lucky people seem to do these, worded in different ways. And let's learn how to make us up a big batch of good luck here. So number 1 in the ingredient here, be aware of unnoticed opportunities. See, lucky people have mastered the art of making the most out of unnoticed opportunities. And they do this by being aware, by keeping that childlike attitude of wonder so they can actually see the blessings. We adults, many times, that's why adults don't reach their goals as much as young people, because we're just set in our ways. We're just set in our ways. My life is good and it's okay. Well, I don't want to be okay. I don't want to live okay. I want to live amazing. I want to have a wonderful life. Happy wife, happy life popped into my head. Like a child is always open to new possibilities. You can see them just rolling in the snow. They find wonder in things that we think are stupid, but it's fun to see it. We want to be making new friends, accepting new ideas, new thought processes, read a different style of book than you used to, drive a different way to work, do something different. Unlucky people seldom veer from their routine. They live safely within their 10-mile radius. There's nothing wrong with order. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say if you want to go past where your life is now, you got to shake it up a little bit. You got to shake it up a little bit. Quote, diligence is the mother of good luck. Benjamin Franklin. Dr. Richard Wiseman also said, quote, lucky people are skilled at creating, noticing, and acting upon chance opportunities. They do this in a variety of ways, which include building and maintaining a strong network, adopting a relaxed attitude to life, and being open to new experiences. Unlucky people tend to be creatures of routine. They tend to take the same route to and from work and talk to the same types of people at parties. In contrast, many lucky people try to introduce variety into their lives. For example, one person described how he thought of a color before arriving at a party and then introduced himself to people wearing that color. This kind of behavior boosts the likelihood of chance opportunities by introducing variety. End of quote. Now, we may call it being observant, or keeping it real, or being in the game, or being in the moment. Whatever your term is. You could also say being ready for revelation, or anticipating inspiration, or I'm ready to get blessed. But it's that childlike wonder. It's doing something just a little bit different. Thinking just a little bit different could change your life a lot. Be ready to find a path that leads you to a goal. And you might find that that's the real goal and not the one you thought you had. It may take you to a whole nother job, a whole nother lifestyle. Know that inspiration will usually come in a way you weren't looking. So we have to be ready for that. Have to be ready for that. Deuteronomy 28:12 from the CEV says, "The Lord will open the storehouses of the skies where He keeps the rain, and He will send rain on your land at just the right times. He will make you successful in everything you do. You will have plenty of money to lend to other nations, but you won't need to borrow any yourself." That means you're going to have more than you need. See, concerning our attitude toward giving and receiving, our God says in Malachi 3, He says, "See if I don't open up heaven itself to you and pour out a blessing beyond your wildest dreams." 3:10 Malachi. If I don't open up the heaven itself and pour you out a blessing beyond your wildest dreams. That's what we should expect, folks. That's what God wants to give us. So what stopped us? Just sloppy thinking. Laziness. We've jumped on the course of the world. It's just going to take us down the road of mediocrity. We're just going to live about as average as we can possibly live. Some people find a way to break out of that syndrome. Quote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Seneca the Younger was a Roman philosopher from the 1st century. Would you notice it if you saw it? Do you notice opportunity? Or are we just so used to doing things the same old way? As we get out of our rut, we're going to begin to see the abundance that's been customized just for us. I saw a guy stuck in the snow the other day, and he was just rocking back. I mean, he wasn't doing it. He was a young man. I thought if it was a lady, I would have stopped and helped him. But if it was a young man, he needs to learn by the school of hard knocks, And all he had to do was dig a little path with his foot or something. He could have driven right out. But he's just, I don't know what he was thinking. You ever got your car stuck in a rut or something, and it gets stuck. I mean, it's hard to get out of that, especially if you've been on a back road. I've been on a back road before in a car, and it got so stuck in a rut that it went all the way up to the body. And then the wheels would just spin and it wouldn't get out anymore. So we all got out, we jacked the car, put a bunch of rocks and sticks under all the wheels and drove like hell. And decided we're going to drive a little differently. Quote, what helps luck is a habit of watching for opportunities, of having a patient but restless mind, of sacrificing one's ease or vanity, or uniting a love of detail to foresight, and of passing through the hard times bravely and cheerfully. Victor Chubelet, probably said it wrong, but he said everything that one researcher said in that one quote. We want to be that way. We want to look for those open doors all the time. We want to always be looking for opportunities. They're knocking all around us, but we're so tunnel visioned into doing what we're used to doing that we don't catch it sometimes. See, lucky people have mastered the art of making the most out of unnoticed opportunities. They do this by being aware, by keeping the childlike attitude of wonder so they can actually see the blessings. They're open to new possibilities, new friends, new ideas. So that's number one. Now we're number two. Be aware of your inner voice. Remember, we talked about being aware of our surroundings and being open to new possibilities. Now we're going to turn it the other way. Instead of looking out, now we're going to look within. And now we're going to turn that focus inward. We have to be aware of that inner voice, that inward man, that intuition, that instinct, that insight, that gut feeling. You ever had that? You know, you walk into a place and this doesn't feel right. And then you stay there and something bad happens. You had a gut feeling. We've all experienced that. And so we learn to listen and not go through that. Don't do business with that person. You know you're going to get burnt if you do. It's not worth it. Now, not every feeling that we have is right, but you learn to differentiate. We learn to understand that inner voice. 1 Kings 19, 11 and 12 from the Message said, and he was told, go stand on the mountain at attention before God. God will pass by. A hurricane wind ripped through the mountains and shattered the rocks before God. But God wasn't to be found in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But God wasn't found in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, fire. But God wasn't in the fire. And after the fire, a gentle and quiet whisper. A gentle and quiet whisper. At times, the voice of God, our inner voice, is as soft as a gentle and quiet whisper. It's a still, small voice. Can you hear it? Are you paying attention? Or is our life so crazy? Or we're in such a rut that we can't see it. We can't hear it, should I say. Quote, lucky people make effective decisions by listening to their intuition and gut feelings. They also take steps to actively boost their intuitive abilities. For example, by meditating and clearing their mind of other thoughts. That's Dr. Wiseman. See, those are the lucky people. They learn how to slow it down. And they learn how to listen. They learn how to be aware of what's going on inside too. They know what's going on. They're aware of what's happening around them. And they're also aware of what's happening inside. Those are two great keys. Here's a quote. The day you decide to do is your lucky day. Japanese proverb. Some good old focused prayer helps us focus at times. And it may take changing up things a little bit in order to be peaceful. You may have to sit in a different room. You may have to go for a run. You may have to go for a walk. You might have to go to a quiet space. Do something so that you can be in tune with yourself. with ourselves. It's not easy to do sometimes. You're a busy mom at home and kids running all over the place and you're running kids all over the place. It's hard. You have a demanding job, a job that runs you. You can still learn to catch that still small voice. You know, I can think of so many times I was on a job, and I remember one time I wasn't on a job, but I was traveling across country and I had a carburetor go out on my car. Back then I'd try to fix things on the road. And I could take things, carried enough tools to do it. And so I took everything out, but I dropped this needle valve on the ground next to the road in the gravel. And there's no way it's going to work. And I thought, and I didn't have a flashlight. And I said, now how am I gonna do this? You had the light of the moon, I guess. And so I remember I just said, okay, I got to get peaceful here. And I said, God, I said, make the thing shine. And all of a sudden that little piece turned like red, like it was red hot. And I reached down, picked it up, and I put it in. Coincidence? I don't know. I have a lot of coincidence. A lot of stuff happens. I mean, it's just that still small voice. Sometimes it's going to come in a way you don't understand. I remember I lived in an eastern city, and I had a friend who was a school teacher in a very poverty-stricken area in Newark, and the sun was going down, and he said, my car won't start. He called me. He said, can you come and help me out? And so I drove there. It was maybe a half an hour drive, 20-minute drive from where I was at that time. This is before cell phones. And so I went there and raised the hood. And I did everything I mechanically knew how to do, and I couldn't get it to work at all. And I mean, the battery didn't go dead. We just crank it. But it never would fire. It never would catch. And so I touched wires, touched everything. Nothing worked. And now the sun was down, and we started seeing people walking around us. And I thought, and it didn't seem like a good place to be in the 70s. And so I said, I just got quiet within myself, and then I just thought, pray. So I prayed out loud for this car, like I was ministering healing. I put my hand on this giant radiator, and this car was like 19 feet long. It was one of those gigantic cars of the 60s. And I said, and my friend was standing right next to me. There was nobody else in the car or whatever. And as I was praying, the engine started cranking on its own. It went, wah, 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 wah. Then it went, run, 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 like somebody was in there gunning the throttle. And I said, I don't know what the hell just happened, but get in there and let's get the hell out of here. And so he hopped in. He drove it to his house. I followed him. The car stopped and it never worked again. Now that's coincidental, maybe. Maybe it's God. You decide. It doesn't matter to me. Maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know. But the point is it works all the time. But you got to be aware of the inner voice and not be afraid to act on it. Philippians 2:13, it says, for it is God which worketh in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. God works in you. Heck, I mean, he must work out of the house, because it says that we're his habitation, right? So God works out of the house. He knows exactly how to talk to you. And it won't be how he talks to me. God works effortlessly within us. He fills all things and is everywhere present. He inhabits all eternity, and he lives in you. Ephesians 2:22, it says, in whom you are builded together for an habitation of God through the Spirit. It's God inside. What do you think that gut feeling is usually? What do you think? We typically are pretty knowledgeable of the house we live in. Like in your minds, you can picture right now your living room. You can picture your bedroom and your restroom. You can picture your laundry room and your entryway. You have a pretty good idea. Even a blind person can navigate through a home if it's set up, if they set it up, they get used to it. You'd never even know they were blind. Except for if you were in the house, they wouldn't have any lights on. They don't need them. Speaking of blind people, I once saw a group of skiers all wearing these orange vests, and they said on there, blind skier. And you think, sometimes skiing is scary in and of itself. But imagine being blind and going down the slopes. But they've done it enough. They've done it enough where they feel comfortable doing that. With a little help, they enjoy those slopes. And, we may seem spiritually blind at times, but with a little help, we too can notice that inner voice more and more and more. It's the whole point of us getting together. Psalm 103:14 says that God feels for those who fear or respect Him. He knows us inside out. Psalm 103:14. Since God knows us inside out, do you think He knows how to communicate with each of us individually? Think He can give you that hunch, that gut feeling, that no or that go? Sure, we just need to be aware of that inner voice. Quote, there's no luck except where there is discipline. That's an Irish proverb. There's no luck except where there's discipline. In other words, it takes work to have luck. You're not just lucky. Nobody's just lucky. They may think they are, but over their lifetime, they've developed certain habits that makes them lucky. Like that girl. Like you. Step one in our luck training is to be aware of unnoticed opportunities. Step two is learning to be lucky is to be aware of our inner voice, our inward man, our intuition, our instinct, our insight, or that gut feeling. Be aware of your inner voice. Now, number three. Be eternally optimistic in your expectations. Folks, this is not easy. It takes a lot of work to constantly expect only amazing things to happen to you. But you can do it. Lucky people do it. You never think something bad's going to happen to you. It doesn't cross a lucky person's mind. Dr. Wiseman also said, quote, lucky people are certain that the future will be bright. Over time, that expectation becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because it helps lucky people persist in the face of failure and positively shapes their interaction with other people. End of quote. See, this ultra-positive attitude can absolutely be developed, and all lucky people have it. There's not a such thing as negative lucky people or depressed lucky people. It takes listening and correcting every drab thought about your future. If you're afraid that you're not going to have enough money for retirement, you probably won't have enough money for retirement. But if you say, man, I'm going to be set. I'm already set. Don't worry about it. I'm going to do everything I can. And God is going to come through with flying colors. I mean, that's how I think. I never think it's going to be a horrible time. My God, I mean, like we mentioned before, Noah, I mean, imagine living 500 years. That's outliving your savings. But he didn't. I talk to people every day who are so afraid of their future, and they save like crazy. There's nothing wrong with saving. It's very smart to save. But the point is it's not worth being afraid. It's not worth being afraid. If you haven't started yet, get started now. Do something. See, start that ultra positive attitude about your future. Ultra positive, eternally optimistic future. It's going to be crazy good. I can't wait for next year. I can't wait for this winter. I found myself being negative in the fall. Oh, the winter things slow down. And I verbalize this over and over. Well, what do you think happened? It slowed down. I have a friend in a similar business, and he doesn't say that. He says, I'm doing great this winter. I'm going to do great. And he is doing great. Making more money than he ever made. He just changed his attitude. Instead of being like what everybody else says is going to be a slow time, stop saying it. Be eternally optimistic about your future. Why not? But it's not easy to do. And it may take a trusted friend or a partner pointing out those things. It may take that. It may take somebody saying, Mark, stop it. I have a good friend over here that does that, but sometimes we both get negative. I had a job one time that I was so negative about I couldn't even stand being around myself. Till finally I took my own medicine, and if you hate your job, find another one. So I found another job. Actually made another job. It just, whatever it takes. But keep yourself eternally optimistic about your future. Quote, luck affects everything. Let your hook always be cast. In the stream where you least expect it, there will be a fish. That's from Ovid, from the 1st century. 1st century, they talk like that. Let your hook always be cast in a stream where you least expect it, and there will be a fish. That's how life's going to be. It's going to be that way. It's going to happen for you, folks. You're going to have just a wonderfully, crazy, great life. That sunny attitude is not only going to change your life, but it's likely to be contagious. Don't you like to be around people that say great things to you? That always talk about happy stuff? Instead of being around Debbie Downer? Wah, wah. You know what I'm saying? Bummer Betty, miserable Mark, whatever the name. I mean, we all know people like that. You just, here they come. They're coming past my cubicle. Get ready. Now I got to work to cheer them up again. And so you try. But it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. Philippians 4:13. See, first, I think lucky people expect their future to be bright. They just expect it. It's going to be bright. They think it. They talk it. They see it. They visualize it. They believe it. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. That's a pretty ultra-positive, lucky verse. I can do all things. If you can do all things through Christ, then can you do all things through Christ? Yeah, what do you need? God shall supply all your need according to His riches in glory. If all your need is going to be supplied or is supplied, then what are we worried about? We just have bad habits, folks. We have unlucky habits. Okay, God said that, but It's not happening for me. Happens for everybody else, but not me. You know, we make all these crazy excuses. I was raised a certain way. I'm not as smart as them. I'm not as strong as them. I'm not as good looking as them. I don't have the same schooling as them. Stop it! Stop talking like that. Here's an ultra positive verse. Another one. From the Amplified, from that same verse says, I am self-sufficient in Christ's sufficiency. I am ready for anything and equal to anything through Him who infuses me with inner strength and confident peace. Isn't that great? I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the future. I'm ready for now. That's lucky talk, folks. That's the attitude of a winner. In the long run, this is another quote, in the long run, you make your own luck, good, bad, or indifferent. Loretta Lynn. See, you're always up to the task. And that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you just have to tough your way through life. That's not what we're talking here. It's that eternally positive, wonderful attitude of a person who makes their own luck. That was number 3. Be eternally optimistic about your future. Now we're going into the last one, number 4. Be positive about your negatives. Now, if you think the last one was hard, there's more negatives floating around our head and popping out of our mouth than we catch. I remember I was an iron worker when I was a young man. And I did not realize how much I started cussing. Because everybody did. And one day I was teaching the Bible at a meeting, and I started dropping all these 4-letter words. And then afterwards, an older person came up to me, put his arm around my shoulder, and he said, Mark, you don't have to use 4-letter expletives to accentuate the Bible. And I said, well, what did I say? I was unaware. He goes, you said this and 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 this. And I said, oh, man. So I told Josephine, you got to stop me. You got to help me stop talking like this. You see, be positive. We just become aware. These negatives are a part of us after a while. And we think it's normal to be negative. And this final discipline that's found in all lucky people takes controlling every thought. And this is always finding the silver lining no matter how bad your life seems to get. Always find the silver lining. Always. Quote, it's a great piece of skill to know how to guide your luck even while waiting for it. And that's Balthasar Gracian. Guide your luck even while you're waiting for it. It's a great skill. So this is somebody who understood. You guide it. You're in control of your luck. Do you want to be lucky or unlucky? How many of you want to be unlucky? Oh, no show. How many of you want to be lucky? Okay, 3 of you. 4. I know it's a term that we're not used to saying, but it's a word that we use all the time. People say, make their own luck. Better luck next time. You know what that means? That wasn't around until 1945. That term. There's a lot of this stuff. The word luck never came in until like 1800 into our vocabulary. And then it gets used in all different ways, and that's why it got queered. But so we want to understand how to control our luck. 2 Corinthians 10:3-6 from the Message says, the world is unprincipled. It's dog eat dog out there. The world doesn't fight fair. But we don't live or fight our battles that way. Never have and never will. The tools of our trade aren't for aren't for marketing or manipulation, but they're for demolishing that entire massively corrupt culture. We use our powerful God tools for smashing warped philosophies, tearing down those barriers erected against the truth of God, fitting every loose thought and emotion and impulse into the structure of life shaped by Christ. Our tools are ready at hand for clearing the ground of every obstacle or every obstruction and building lives of obedience into maturity. See, controlling every thought, changing every negative thought into a positive one takes work. Here's another quote from Dr. Wiseman. Lucky people tend to see the positive side of their ill fortune. They imagine how things could have been worse. In one interview, one of his lucky volunteers arrived with his leg in a plaster cast and described how he had fallen down a flight of stairs. And I asked him whether he still felt lucky. And he cheerfully explained that he felt luckier than before. As he pointed out, he could have broken his neck.
Right.
Now, that's a silver lining. Instead of, oh, my car broke down again. You know, it's like, well, I'm glad it didn't break down 100 miles from here. How many times has your car broke down in a convenient spot? A lot of times, probably. It's usually not the most inconvenient of spaces. And if it is, there's always a way out. There's you meet somebody. Just look for something good to happen. The other day I was driving home from somebody's house and my alternator went out and my battery blew up in my wife's car. The car kept driving. I had no lights on. I don't know how. I didn't want to stop it to see if I could turn it off and back on. So I got home, and it wouldn't run anymore. So I took it to the shop and they put a new alternator. And this is the day before I was supposed to fly out of here. And so instead of complaining, I thought, oh, well, I'm going to get it fixed. And I'm glad it didn't break on the road. It did it right in my garage. So, I mean, it's cool stuff. Cool stuff. Here we go. Here's a quote. I think luck is the sense to recognize an opportunity and the ability to take advantage of it. The man who can smile at his breaks and grab his chances gets on. Samuel Goldwyn. See, lucky people turn lemons into lemonade. Their glass is always half full and never half empty. They never dwell on failure or misfortune. We're all going to fail at times. Okay, I learned something. Let's get up and go. I just lost $1,000 on that stupid deal. Okay, start over. I shouldn't have taken that job. That person was really mean. I'll learn I'm not going to do that again. I'll learn to follow that gut feeling. You see, they pull a lesson or a blessing out of any problem. Every problem can become an opportunity to learn something. Every problem should be an opportunity. Now, in closing, what is luck? Does luck even exist? Some people adamantly say, there's no such thing as luck, while others swear by it. Tennessee Williams said, luck is believing you're lucky. It's amazing how many of these actors, had this mindset. They believe they're lucky. They believe in lucky breaks. Really, they're making their lucky breaks with their attitude. It's self-fulfilling prophecies, folks. Modern psychologists argue that there are real-life reasons why some people are luckier than others. Some even go as far as to say that luck is a learned trait. But I ask, can luck really be learned? And the resounding answer is yes. So 4 keys to feeling lucky. 1, be aware of those unnoticed opportunities. 2, be aware of your inner voice. 3, be eternally optimistic in your expectations. And 4, be positive about your negatives. And those ancient Dutch The word luck to them meant happiness or good fortune. And I like that definition. But luck takes work. Luck takes work. It's high time we each decided to do what it takes to get the things we want and need. And that is what I call feeling lucky. God bless.